Hey, hi everyone. Atul this side.
Looks like that link worked.
The one that I shared? I guess yes. Yeah, Antoine is here.
Hi there.
Howdy, folks.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
There we go. Good morning. It looks like we're having some trouble with the meeting link.
Surprise.
Great. That's just the peril of transitioning to a new platform. Did everybody here use just the standard Zoom from previous meeting links, or did you try to join using the LFX platform link?
I tried LFX and wasn't able to get in.
Okay.
So the Zoom link worked.
So I need to.
I actually registered on CNCF. I mean the event a few weeks back, and it was added to my calendar, and that link worked.
Let's see.
The one that I shared in the group right now, that just worked. It was there on my calendar.
Let's see. Let me update that here. Sorry for the trouble. All right, so put that on the to-do list. Hooray. Let's get back to the meeting here. Well, I hope everyone's having September so far. Let's get this information up. Let me copy in the notes doc. There's the notes doc. All right, do we have a tool on today? A tool is not on today.
Hey, I'm here.
You are here. Oh, I see you. Nice. I didn't recognize your picture. Let's see, so we got
That's a fairly old one, I guess.
Let's see, and then let's call it last call for interviewers, interviewees. All right, go ahead and add yourself as an attendee in the doc, so you can get credit for being here. See, all right. So for general, while everyone's doing that, for general housekeeping, wanted to welcome Atul to the working group co-chairs. Probably a long time coming. But I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, Atul. I'll leave that up to you. I know it's a kind of the end of the day for you over there.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for having me here. Again, I know I've been on and off for a while. I had a client meeting which I finally managed to move from this time. So I should be available for all the future calls. And yeah, looking forward to doing exciting stuff.
And you're already getting to work with the CNCF or with the KubeCon stuff, which is
Yes, I thought that's something I have done earlier as well. And I find it interesting. So like I can drive that for a while.
See, well, let's jump into some stuff. So do we have anybody new here today? I think it looks like the usual suspects.
This is my first time. I have a few colleagues and friends who've come here frequently, also having some video difficulties with Zoom, but there we go. So I'm new here, first time.
Yeah, tell us where you're from.
I currently live in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, so right in that area. I'm a Red Hatter, if you know Tyler Pate. I'm also alongside Chris Bynum over to this side. And I am a staff engineer in platform engineering, focusing on productization in our services organization and across a few different groups at Red Hat.
Awesome. Chris, how about you? Are you in Raleigh as well?
No, I'm not. I'm in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Oh, cool. So I'm sandwiched between you two. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay. All right. Very good. And I work with Gurney. I manage the team that Gurney works with. Or one of the teams that he works with.
Awesome. Well, I hope I get to see you guys at All Things Open here pretty soon. Up in Raleigh. All Things Open is at the end of October, I believe.
Macy Gurney. I don't know about me. Gurney looks like he's frozen. So
yeah, I'm having some video difficulties still, but hopefully the audio is coming through. I may or may not make it this year. It overlaps with a few other things that I have going on the calendar, so I need to make sure. On top of all of that, planning a wedding for next March, so have a lot of odds and ends to close out for that.
Congrats. Let's see. All right. Anybody else new? We're probably good. All right, well, let's jump into topics. So I think the main topics that we're tracking on, especially for KubeCon, the big three are the maturity model assessment work, and the general KubeCon planning, obviously, and getting sorted for that, as well as the platform as product interviews and the research there. So we'll share some more information about that. Do we want to jump into the maturity model assessment work? I see Corbin just joined.
Sure. Hey folks, I'm Corbin Pacheco for the new folks that joined. I'm from AWS, and I've been working with this group around a platform maturity assessment. I posted a couple weeks back some questions that I was using to sort of pilot this idea with some of the organizations that I work with that are building platforms, and have been gathering feedback, and there's been quite a bit of great feedback over the last, I would say, week or so, in terms of sort of the scope and format of those questions, and how we want to continue to take that forward. So we're continuing to gather feedback at this moment. So if you haven't seen it, we can post a couple links here. If they're not, are they in the doc, Colin, already?
Yes, they're posted in the doc here.
Okay, yeah, so they're there in the doc. So take a look at that. I think what over the next probably week or so, we're going to start thinking about the next, refinement of those questions, I guess. But the intention of this project, if you're not familiar, is to help organizations land on the maturity model, if you're familiar with that doc as well. And it's basically can be used in either a self-assessment format or more of a consultative format. So, somebody interviewing an organization on kind of where they are from a maturity standpoint or where they are from a platform engineering standpoint, and then helping them, understand some maybe potential gaps that they have coming down the road, and what are some mitigating controls or things that they can do to strengthen their platform engineering practice. So it's kind of the intention. But I think so far, great feedback. Would encourage other folks to kind of take a look there. And then I think over the next couple of weeks, we'll start to work on refining the questions and getting to sort of the next generation of it.
One of the questions I had for you, Corbin, as I've been going through and piloting this with a few folks is, do you plan on, or have you thought about having a similar or the same collection of questions, but from the consumer or customer perspective?
At the moment, no, but that's a great thought and suggestion. I think right now it's primarily focused on the sort of impetus behind it was around, making sure that organizations that were investing in platform engineering were doing so in a way that made those platform investments sustainable, right? So what I've seen in some organizations, especially as they kind of go through this journey, that, sometimes they're not doing all the right things necessarily to make sure that they have KPIs or metrics around the platform. I would say that's probably the most common gap that I see. And so it's really been kind of focused on that platform engineering team, if you will, but less about the end user community. And I think, I guess one of the things I would ask Colin is, we have other mechanisms for that, like when we talk about things like end user surveys or other ways of gathering feedback. So I'd be curious to kind of extrapolate out on that idea and figure out what would something like that look like.
Yeah, the way that I've been working through it, and I plan on doing some work this morning for a call I have later this afternoon, is I want to better determine what the perspective from outside of the platform team, like the organization's perspective on platform engineering, what that looks like. So it's almost determining other teams, maybe not willingness to adopt is the right way, but kind of their expectation or their understanding. I'm seeing a number of places where the platform team sees this as an important initiative, but the other teams don't. And just trying to get put some mechanisms in place for those platform teams that even don't know how to do user surveys and everything else, right? But in a similar vein, if they're self-assessing and determining what's our maturity, what are our areas of opportunity, getting some real feedback in a format that's similar to this. And I'm going to play around with it a little bit this afternoon, but I'll catch up with you afterwards and dig into it a little deeper. But some of the questions on here I'm interested in, like when we get into the adoption, is there a centralized onboarding process inclusive of developer materials or training? A similar question can be positioned to say, right, is there a centralized onboarding process that you're aware of for training, right? Like, how would you actually consume this and get some information from the consumer, as well as maybe how would you expect to, if you wanted to really dig into that. But yeah, definitely was thinking on that vein.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the sort of benefits and some of the challenges too, as we think about the future of this, is that in more of a consultative format, it lends itself really well to those types of discussions about what does onboarding actually look like, and being the next step being a discussion about that, and really kind of diving deep into how do they actually onboard users. But if you were to do a self-assessment, it may not lead you down that path. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's a good question. Would love to hear from other folks too, if they have any thoughts.
Yeah, so is anybody actively looking at the doc? I'll post the link in here as well. And for the sake of time, we obviously can't have a deep dive discussion, but we can certainly set another one up. But does anyone have any initial questions or things for Corbin or someone else to think about while we continue to work on the doc? Awesome.
Cool.
That actually could be a good sign. So I
Yeah.
encourage everyone to get in there and check it out and start providing some feedback. The best way that I've found to do it personally is to go through and pilot it with folks, because when you read through it, the questions might make sense at first read, but then there are some areas, like I found some of my feedback on the questions is, this isn't really a yes or no question. How do I answer yes or no? And just little things like that. But it gets positioned in a different light when you're actually running through it with somebody. Another tip as well, I've been trying to put like a 1 minute time limit on each question. All right, so that the person that we're doing the review with, or even yourself, you can't, you don't look at the menu of food and take 10 minutes to make a decision, right? It's just like say yes or say no and then go address it later, right? Trust your gut.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say your
that's
first reaction is probably the most honest one in those scenarios. Otherwise, if you spend a lot of time evaluating, I often find that teams almost need, not really, certain teams have this baked in adversarial aspect, not adversarial, that's a negative word, but you know what I mean, a baked in where we're going to challenge ourselves. So if we think it's this way, oh, do we actually behave that way? So some teams will have someone like that. Sometimes in a longer evaluation, which is really a different topic entirely and a different question set, this is meant to be quick. But in a longer evaluation, it's almost like we did a longer evaluation with some of our peer teams that have slightly different perspectives. So we were able to get pushback from other teams and say, are you actually a yes here? Are you actually at this state here? Which was valuable. Whereas this type of questionnaire has to be quick. I wonder if there's even I don't think it's in the recommendations that I see here, but yeah, keep the interview time box to less than an hour. It might be even better to say 1 minute a question. If you can't answer it in a minute, keep going, loop back to it if you have time left at the end of this exam. And if you don't have time, well, you just get 5 points off.
Right, exactly. Yeah, throw those comments in there for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of I think for some of the new folks, there has been a lot of debate on the format, right? So I intentionally started with this like yes, no format just to make it really simple and not have like a lot of choices and kind of go through it quickly, to your point, right? So I think there's probably some benefit of moving to multiple choice in some cases. I think we want to try to retain some of the yes no format where we can, if it makes sense, and then expand in other areas where maybe the other way is a little bit better. I think right now, or at least when I started this, it didn't cleanly map you to a maturity like section, right? So there was a little bit of like extrapolation is mentioned in some of the comments you'll see there, or like there needed to be like a stronger sort of like scoring mechanism behind it that would place you like somewhere in the model. So but yeah, all great discussion. I don't want to take up too much time in the meeting, so please go ahead and continue to put your feedback. I'll work with Abby to probably set up a separate deep dive where we can take the feedback that we have and then work on some next steps and continue to iterate. Thanks.
That sounds great. Moving on to the next section. So I wanted to make a last call for interviewers and interviewees for the platform as product research. We've been trying to get some like a deeper dive call scheduled to help people coordinate and match people, like pair people up, pair interviewers up with interviewees and get that process rolling. But the response was very limited on the Slack channel. I have the list of people who have signed up as interviewers as well, and I'm going to reach out to everybody individually and try to surface it that way. Now that we have that list, we have emails for some people, but Slack handles for others. So if somebody's unresponsive, I'm just basically going to cull the list a little bit. But otherwise, I encourage everybody to who's interested in performing an interview and pitching in on the research. We want to have this done way before KubeCon. So I'm not calling out a date or anything. I'll work with the platform's product folks on the initiative folks on that one. But I mean, ideally, we've got to have that probably a month before KubeCon to be able to distill any sorts of results, which means our timeline is getting pretty slim. So I'll reach out this week to folks individually, confirm their interest, and get some times and try to get everybody, herd the cats a little bit and get everybody scheduled as well. But we've got the interviewer sign up here as well. I've been trying to side channel and grab the link for the interviewee sign up, which is on the blog for the site as well. I'm just gonna
Can you share a link to that, Colin? Because I was looking for the kind of elevator pitch to send to a couple of people who are interested.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to add that to the doc right now. Somebody else might have it handy and can beat me to it.
Thanks.
There it is. Invitation for platform as product research.
It's more the background blurb about, you know, why we're doing this, what we're trying to get out of it. There's a few people want to know that before they just go to a sign up link.
Yep.
Yeah,
So the blog has that explanation, and it's really helpful.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Colin, were you planning to set up like a meeting just to go over the logistics and things to do this? Okay, super.
Yeah, and that was my initial ask in the platform as product channel. So there is a platform as product research channel. It's a private channel, trying to keep it a little bit controlled and limited, also private, in case there needs to be discussion. So if you sign up to be an interviewer, we'll add you to the channel. So go through that mechanism. But we tried to get folks together, and I asked about in the channel about were people available on certain dates, and were not available, and only got like 4 or 5 responses. And so that's kind of why I wanted to surface it a little bit. Like, it's time to get serious about it. So that's why I need to reach out to folks individually and just confirm, because Slack's not always the best mechanism, and we can't tag the whole channel in the CNCF Slack and announce it. So I imagine folks are just missing it. I mean, I'm busy too, so I totally get it.
I mean, it is already getting serious as well, because we already have some interviews done and some others set up. So it's not like we don't have any progress on that side. It's just we need to activate more people for it to really scale, right?
Right, exactly. And like Dom said, we needed to get a few interviews in place to kind of establish a framework for, you know, what does a good interview look like, especially for the folks that might be new to interviewing. But Dom, if you want to, or anyone else, do you guys want to talk about the interviews you've done so far, or anything there?
David, do you want to say anything specific?
Well, we interviewed someone who was in the group, and name just sort of popped out of my head, but it went well. I think we had a good run through, and you know, it's been a while since I've been in the sort of interviews we did very early on, and this went well. And I think the next step is for us, being me, Dominic, and Michael, to actually do some review and publish something, right? Maybe a little bit in Slack, and then figure out a blog post of some initial stuff. But it was interesting, and this is something everyone should think about. When you're interviewing, you're listening. A lot of us are vendors, consultants. You know, we want to tell people the right way to do things, and that's not what this is about. It is inquiry and curiosity, and you may have to hold back quite a bit on when you hear things that matter to you that you feel should be done differently. That's not what this is about. So I think the 3 of us and others with interviewing experience are going to look for seconds, because it was good that I was a second to Michael, and I kind of like let him just lead on inquiry and not, you know, editorializing.
But it's definitely helpful that we have a full script, and you can just follow the script and all that. So it's not like you are completely on your own. But yeah.
Yeah, so if you're interested in doing it, get that sign up form in. We'll get you into the channel, and the channel has access to some more resources like the interview script and some other things there. Definitely
The interview script is also just on GitHub too,
yeah.
So it's open to all.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that?
If
Is
you
anybody
have,
gonna sign up?
if you have the interview script link handy, can you post it?
I'll grab it from the GitHub here in a second.
Corbin, are you in the you're in the PAP's channel, there should be pinned the description and the pinned notes should have the resources you need to. And if they
Super.
don't, we'll get it updated.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, next topic on here is the French translation of the platform glossary. So somebody here, I
Yes.
think, has that. Okay,
It's
cool.
Antoine. Yeah, I just bring up the topic because it's getting some delay. So I just came back from 4 weeks of vacation. So if any French is here or viewing this video, you can join on reviewing the French translation of the glossary. So anyone can help. Currently, we try to get it done by the end of September. I hope so. But we have already done 40%, I think, on reviewing Matthew's work. He has done the translation. We just need to review it. So anyone is welcome to join.
I wish I was fluent in French. I would jump in there. All right, I think so first topic of discussion otherwise is the KubeCon stuff. Atul, do you want to take that away?
Sure, I can. So, I think, I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but there's been a discussion going on for a booth for Tag App Delivery at KubeCon. And most of the time, this booth is a timed booth sort of. So it's like it rotates between different projects and different groups. So that discussion is going on, and Robert will confirm on, the slots in terms of the exact timing and exact date that we get the booth for. And we have had this for a couple of years now. I mean, a couple of KubeCons. So we added in Paris, we added in Chicago as well. And we do try to do some activities or events on that booth. So we did do lightning talks both the times. So we open a simple Google form for asking folks for CFPs, and then, have some discussion around platform engineering or whatever they are doing. They come to the booth. We have a laptop there, and then, they just talk, and we try to record it, but then we do get about 20-25 folks at the booth. So we would want to do the same thing, but then I had a few more ideas which I've listed in the document as well. It's there in the meeting notes. So you can go through them, and if you feel that there is something that is worth spending time on, we could then probably get together, and based on what Robert suggests in terms of timings, we could close in on a couple of activities and drive them at the booth. So yeah, that's all I had on this part, and I'll try to share in the chat as well, so you can go through those ideas, give your comments and thoughts, and then we could form a small group who would then work on executing it at the booth.
Let's see. Awesome, that looks great. Cool. I can't remember. Have we been having a discussion about doing a platforms coffee again? I may have missed that in our group Slack.
Yeah, Abby said she's going to organise that.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's for venue or something.
Yeah, I think she said in this morning or last night's chat, that's the only thing she's kind of focusing on.
Okay. So I'll get some information on that and make sure that's surfaced too. But platform coffee is fun every time we do it. That's probably one of the more well-attended events that we do.
Yeah, and last time we discussed about the fact that we might be missing maybe 1 hour within the KubeCon, not at platform coffee, because at the booth it was quite noisy. So I think we discussed about having some private place within the KubeCon, so that anyone that did not come in the morning at the coffee could have some free talks with anyone interested by the topic. Could be just one time during the week, but just once could be nice, I think.
I mean, having the coffee at 7 before the conference was a bold decision.
Awesome.
But if you have some time during the day, I think we would get more people if it's just one time, and one time just after lunch could be nice.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Maybe we'll choose a corner of one of the lunch areas or something. Who knows? Awesome. I guess we're actually moving pretty fast through all of the check-in items today. One of the things that we can do is just bring up some open discussion or some things about platform engineering, or does anybody have any questions on something, or wants to survey the group or ask about initiatives or anything there. But does anyone have any topics that they'd like to throw out or propose?
Just a quick hello from my side, new to the group. Name's Alex Green. I work at Anheuser-Busch InBev, Director of Platform Engineering. Getting a lot more involved as much as I can with CNCF and different efforts in the community. So just want to give a wave and a friendly face.
Yeah, welcome. It's great to have you. Are you do you need any like resources or anything? You know where to go? You've got the Slack channel, all that good stuff.
I'm getting going, so I'll reach out if there's anything. But I think hardest part was finding the right Zoom link for this today. So I'll if that's the most challenge I have, then that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get joined up on Slack, and it's gonna look through some of the prior working notes and stuff. But
Hey, Colin, is there a best practice for that? Like I had it's hard to like sync my calendar with like the CNCF calendar. I don't know if people know like a good way of doing that. Like I had put a placeholder on my calendar and then somehow it like got out of sync. And so my only signal for these meetings is like either in Slack or like, because you guys are really good about saying, hey, we have a meeting coming up like in a half hour or something. That's like my signal pretty much right now. So I'm trying to get like a more mature way of doing it. If there is one, if anybody has tips, like would love to learn.
Doesn't exist as a convenience, but if you use the actual community sign up system every week or every time, it will send you, hey, we're having a meeting. And that's how I got into the last actual deep dive, right? Was that it kind of reminded me, oh, we're doing this, you should join. And there's nothing like an automated calendar subscription or anything like that. You know, for platform coffee, I just use Google Groups, and or it stays up to date for everybody. But there doesn't seem to be anything like that for CNCF. So yeah, I'd recommend if it's anything that changes, you kind of need to use that community system. It's sort of like Meetup, which is painful and irritating.
Yeah, we've been updating. I had another pull request where I went and found some places where it was missing in the translations, and other places when we were adding a tool. There, we updated some of the group information to show that there's an RSVP page, like on the community page that David is mentioning. So you can see the events from Tag App Delivery and then RSVP to the platform engineering meeting or the platform's working group meeting. And it is now a recurring meeting. And so it should give you ideally it will give you a recurring calendar entry, or at least we'll email you. But I've just been RSVPing to each of those. And then it's helpful to us as well to see who's RSVP'd to the different events. Before that, it was just join the Zoom call. This is a little bit better of a mechanism to track. And then the hiccup, it looks like we're moving to this LFX platform, and the meeting room actually is booked for the fourth Tuesday. So we've always had trouble with the recurring events, like doing twice monthly and how to set that up. So it looks like we have to address something on the LFX side to make sure that the link updates. we've gotten used to the fact that the Zoom link doesn't change. And so maybe the Zoom link does need to change each week. I'll go in and try to figure out what happened there. So if you tried to join today, it was trying to join for September 24th, and it doesn't let you in 10 minutes before. So you're really, really, really early if you use that link, unfortunately.
It let me in actually to the meeting though, which was weird. And it had a September 10th option. It was really strange, but we can come up with a better platform for this. Yeah.
And one of the hard parts too is like we don't have access to like an outbound CNCF email or other things. We have to put in tickets. It's like it's a big organization or something. I don't know. We need a better platform. Let's see. Awesome. Well, yeah. So no topics. It's kind of lame.
All right. I'll provoke. So
all right, let's do it.
Are we building platforms and enabling people, or are we doing platform engineering? Because I'm seeing more and more signals about, and even, people I'm working with, very passionate about platform engineering. And, I think they're passionate for some of the right reasons, but it runs a huge amount of risk of solutioning, right? So I'm passionate about applying my toolkit to people's problems, as opposed to I'm really interested in solving people's problems, and I'm not so bound to my toolkit, right? Because it ends up with, this is how I've done it in the past, and this is how I'm going to do it in the future. So, I've loved that working group platforms has been about platforms, not necessarily specifically platform engineering. But I wanted to find out what other experiences people have been having.
Yeah, I'll new guy intro here myself too. So my biggest challenge is the complexity and we can't follow just the best practice patterns that maybe are the funnest in terms of providing a platform to enable groups. I live in a very complex, very legacy in many parts world that there's no magic bullet. And in order to provide value, like you're saying, David, I have to go outside of like the shiny side of platforms and get more practical for, how do we better enable our app team that has a, virtualized mainframe still? What does that look like versus, following really cool, fun patterns and giving an IDP for all the new development, How do I best enable a complex, diverse environment? That's my biggest challenge working at a massive enterprise. How do I provide value in that? So I think that's a great provocation, and also reality that I would imagine a lot of the enterprise folks deal with as well.
Here comes your other enterprise guy.
Hey, Dave, we've talked about this one many, many times, right? Exactly as Alex was saying, it all depends on the size of your org and the problem you're trying to solve. Bigger your org, bigger problem you've got around standardization, trying to herd all those cats in the same direction, trying to stop wasting money by, lots of engineering teams getting trained up, skilled up, all across the business, trying to repeat the same thing. You can do a really good job, as we've done in the last 7 years, of giving them all really good Terraform, really good instructions, really good training and everything else, right? But kind of with the rise of the platform engineering, there is a lot more growing trend towards creating those central services again, trying to make it easy for people to consume via the IDP, Backstage, Port, whatever one you want. It doesn't really matter. Canoe, there's lots of different ways out there, right? But I think it's getting more back to that opinionated stack certainly in the enterprise world. Kind of what do we want that developer experience to actually be like? How do we make their life simpler, reduce the cognitive load, and focus on that rather than the nitty bitty engineering stuff? Because a lot of that nitty bitty things, there's some great engineers across the organization, but do you really need 100, 200, 500 teams all repeating the same AWS stuff in slightly different ways? Probably not, right? So depends on the remit of your org at the end of the day and what the guy at the top is actually saying, and the the kind of, you know, what the remit of your platform as a product initiative is. But certainly in my case, we're going after platform as a product, trying to come up with products that people can consume in a consistent way via the IDP, get them starting using those golden paths. And if we can just herd the cats that way, it'll be much better for the org. You've heard me talk about this many times, David, right? Every Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thrust we're taking with the platform as a product and the research is, and I love Dominic put in a great quote in our first blog post, like, and it's an old quote, you know, love the problem, not the solution, right? And that's tough for techies, is they love their solutions. Antoine.
Yeah, and my issue is a bit of the same. It's when did the topic, the platform topic came, and who came with it? Because on our side, it's coming from the infra team. It's not coming from the users. So when, as we are technical guys, the difficulty I have is when and how are you going to discuss with, by taking more time with your users, because it's difficult to talk with them. That's what I felt. If you don't have something concrete to put them in their hand. Currently, we have an old platform with Jenkins and so on. We don't have nice tools just like Argo is currently being worked on. So we are working on our new platform for providing things, but it's difficult to talk with them as long as you don't have something basically working. This is a difficulty we have found out, but it takes a lot of time to talk with them correctly. It's a whole job to do so. And as you are building a technical solution to discuss with them, it takes time, it takes engineering time. So the difficulty is in balancing the technical work with the actual product management work. This is something I struggle because our new team is currently only 7 people currently, until we can get some more budget for this to grow bigger. But currently, at the early stage of the platform, this is something difficult.
Do you have, you know, it is kind of a catch-22 to talk about platforms and, you know, improving things before you have it ready. But do you have early customers that you can talk to? That
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have identified a few. It's difficult for us because we can only discuss with internal developers, and as a big company, we have a lot of externally developed project, and we don't have so much internal developers. And if you want to bring external developers to talk with you, they are not interested themselves because they have their own practices. So this is
Or
another
they're trying to sell a
difficulty
platform to you in the first
as well.
place.
So we have a balance where we have to try to promote to them the way we want to work. We, as at the company, my company name, but yeah, the difficulty is we don't have many internal developers. We do have one entity, so in fact, we found out that I'm going to talk with only one entity. So I'm not going to have too many diverse point of view on the.
It's a very typical issue. Like, how do you mix platforms and vendors? Like, especially in outsourced environments. There's a lot of platforms that are very focused on, hey, we have mostly employees and we're going to put them all on a platform, and doesn't take much of the whole like vendor ecosystem and the fact that you're usually 80% contractors.
But I think that's the case, to the further case, and definitely why you want that, so that you can streamline and bring in, right, a burst of resources. But if you have a solid platform set up, an IDP, right, and maybe a coder, .com type of development, I think for us, if anything, because we do have such a dynamic mix and often products that just ramp up real quick and we need to scale. That's why, we're investing further in platforms. Otherwise, we get these messes that have been created year over year. And so I think it kind of calls to action even further how to guide success. And I jumped in front of a couple hands, but it was just a quick reaction to the comment about contractors. But I also want to point out a big difference between an SOW, right, where you're paying for a deliverable from a vendor versus bringing in contractors, right? Because with a good platform setup, I think we can better write our SOWs to state, right, your folks are going to develop in this environment. They'll follow this. They'll go to that. It gives you more strength with ensuring that you get delivery from vendors and contractor-based, inputs.
Good points. Gurney, I think you were next.
Yes. I was going to say similar to all of this, but slightly different. We've recently aligned a bunch of teams that have been doing, my team has transitioned from being a single product dedicated build, release, DevOps, glue, etc., all the words that you want to use team. And we've generalized into saying, hey, we want to meet the platform needs of a larger organization. As a result, we've also met up with different teams that are doing different parts of the story and said, well, we're all parts of a platform. Let's all focus on separate pieces. And as we make this transition, and I've seen a few customers and a few partners go through the same or similar transition, I think the other struggle has been different levels of alignment throughout. We're finally under the same kind of management and goal setting structure, which has been very helpful. Plus, all the documents coming out of this working group really help to target and say, focus on these directions and these areas of impact. I had a really good conversation recently at DevConf US, which was shift down, don't shift left, basically. It was shifting down to the platform, which was a fantastic talk. One of the most valuable takeaways there, and the thing that I've been trying to encourage our group to do, is to find those two early customers. And I like that we outline that. A lot of the docs here focus on finding early customers and both building a sustainable platform, but making sure that you're consistently meeting someone's need throughout building the platform. That way you aren't off feature chasing. There's always this, in a large enterprise, there's always this balance between feature chasing and between, I'd say right now the feature chasing is very AI focused, versus actually solving someone's immediate problem. And often those problems are legacy problems, and they're boring problems, and they're problems in which there is no glory to be had, but they're valuable problems. So I don't know how we keep emphasizing that even more. We're already doing a good job in a lot of the documents, but I wonder if there's a space for guidance on getting started with platform engineering as well. We're doing a lot of evaluations to get into that state. I wonder if a next step is, and once you're saying we're at this stage, where do we take next steps? Some of those guardrails are the things we've been doing a lot of writing and thinking about.
I like that, and it kind of goes along really well with a couple of activities happening right now between the platform as a product and the evaluation stuff. So good to get involved. I don't know exactly who is next. Maybe Dominic? Chris, I'm going to skip you.
It's Chris.
Sorry.
A really quick one, David, right? Because I was going to reply just about it was really in reply to what Alex was saying about time. Don't underestimate the amount of time that you're going to have to communicate, right? It's probably 3 times what you expect. There's no silver bullet. There's no one single solution that's going to solve everyone. Not everyone's going to be happy. You're going to have to pick your battles. You have to pick the areas that you're going to go after and the products you're going to go after. And to be honest, focus on that, because you'll always have really highly opinionated, highly technical teams that have got their own brilliantly engineered solution that they're going to love and be wedded to. Don't waste your energy on them, right? They're not your target customer. Identify your target customer, the ones that really need the help, and go after them. That was it, Dave. I'm out.
Yep.
Mic drop.
Very,
Dominic.
very product of you. I also just wanted to throw in another word again, which we used heavily in the platform white paper and the maturity model, which is capabilities, and that a platform is basically a collection. I think we have it here. Platforms create and present foundational capabilities, right? And I think what we are missing at some points is that a platform team doesn't deliver all of the capabilities, it just creates and presents them, right? So you can have multiple teams that just work in a platform capability and you integrate them in your platform. And it can also be a bought-in capability where you say, hey, I don't want to do the whole observability stuff, so I just buy a very good platform, a very good observability platform, and then I present it in my own thing. And that can also kickstart your whole platform journey, because you say, hey, it's easier to just deliver this capability. And if we shift over and start thinking less of a single platform and more of a platform being we already used words like the binding glue and stuff like that, of a platform, that will, I think, help us significantly in selling the idea. And that also gives us a bit the responsibility of better defining what exactly that binding glue is, because currently it's a very abstract model, right?
Yeah,
I think
going back
Colin,
to, going back to some of David's original question and jumping on some of that, it's we see a lot, like when you see startups and other groups and things where somebody, like, they know they have the greatest idea in the world and they build this great app that does a thing really well, and then nobody uses it, nobody buys it, or another way to phrase that is like you make a solution for a problem that doesn't exist yet, or something like that. I'm seeing that some in the platform engineering space too, where like somebody in an organization has decided this is the way we need to do things. I'm going to build this platform that does things a certain way without consulting anybody in the organization. And then it's just this investment bomb or something, right? It's just like they implemented Kubernetes, but there was no purpose. They didn't understand how their developers even developed software. They didn't know what any actual needs were, but they put this thing in place and said, hey, I'm a platform engineer. And that's just a huge waste, can be a huge waste of time and money without the right buy-in, without the right participation. And seeing that a lot. Also seeing people start to put platform engineer in their title. And I know we're all kind of figuring out, what does a platform team look like? What kind of roles do platform engineers perform? But I'm seeing platform engineering, or people applying for platform engineering roles, that they just do CI/CD or something, and that's the end of it, right? That's it. And when you ask them questions about understanding their teams that they're working with, or their consumers, or anything there, it's like everything falls short and falls dead. And maybe if we had better clarity, and that's an expectation of the role of a platform engineer, is this facilitating role and a customer service mentality and all that kind of stuff, maybe that helps. And I'm not saying that's necessary everywhere, but that is a trend that I'm seeing, is and I put it here as platform engineering versus platform engineering. I can't remember, David, if you can maybe in the doc put what your original question was.
Yeah, I'll do that.
But in my mind, it's we're still trying to figure out that stuff. One thing I will ask, besides my word vomit, is the recently, especially with some of the larger organizations, I've been taking an approach of not only introducing the concept of consumers, so having customers. So let's introduce some metrics that are a roll-up of the metrics of our customers, so that we can evaluate if a new feature or capability we've added, I don't know, reduces mean time to release or something, right? But do it as a roll-up of all your consuming teams. You can benchmark against something. But on the other side, there's this tug of war with other teams in the organization that are doing things like, oh, it's my observability platform, or it's my security thing, or it's my team. And so I've been talking with the platform engineers about, like, those are your vendors, right? You need to understand how you can serve your vendors and connect them to the customers and be that facilitator and do all that. And we don't talk about that a lot. We talk about customer. But I mean, your vendor can be a customer too, but you know, is anybody positioning a vendor in their platform planning that way? It's just kind of an interesting thing.
We're not
Alright,
using the
that-
term vendor for those. We still see those as platform teams.
Yeah, and it's service provide. I mean, it gets into what Dominic was saying too. Like, how do you get this multi-layered or ecosystem or network, type effect described in a way that people embrace something other than monolithic team or solution?
Yeah.
Gurney.
Lots of disparate platform engineering teams all coming up with their own products. And then how do you orchestrate those together, wire them together as building blocks to create that composite kind of product, right? Where they're still responsible for their little bit at an engineering level, but not necessarily at the usage level.
Yep.
Yeah, we to kind of tack on to that, we've brought together a lot of teams, from teams that do productization to teams that do service operations to teams that do AWS and other cloud platform resource access for development and test and CI, and all of these things form the tool set that all of the clients that or all of the customers internally that we have need to do their jobs. So my team, we kind of discovered the platform engineering word by accident. I've recently been reading Staff Engineer Leadership Beyond the Management Track, which is a fantastic book if anyone's read it. And it talks in depth about glue work and kind of that glue that connects together different people. In the same way, I think a lot of platform engineering is the glue work that connects multiple different parts of a platform. A platform is a composite of a lot of different functionality. And I think that's what we're getting at here. It's often difficult to make sure that there is something at the platform level that says, how do we use all these disparate tools to solve problems? Because often you get yourself so feature minded that you lose insight to problems in your actual customer. And that's what we're hitting at a lot here. I'd say the biggest benefit that we've sought to see, we want to see, is having a product manager, something like that, role in the platform space to say, we're treating this as a product, and here's actually what offerings we have, what problems we solve, and what value we present. And that's what a lot of the documents that we generate from these assessments end up saying. So I think that's really valuable. I'm interested to see how this ends up as a long tail of platform engineering as a discipline inside companies. I wonder if we have a platform engineer, product manager, platform product manager, and some of those spaces to experiment too.
Yeah. Sake of time, Marsh is going to be our last one. So bring us home, Marsh.
Hey, nice to see you all. I'm sorry I've been away for the last few weeks. The point I wanted to make, I really like the framing of the question. It seems like it's the perfect title for a talk at any of the upcoming events. Like, are we doing platform engineering or building platforms? And giving a framework for what it means by those two things, helping people understand how to talk about those two aspects and where they intersect and where they're different. Like right there, you got to talk. You probably asked the question that way because you were planning one, David, was my guess. Anyways, nice to see you all.
Well, I appreciate everybody. Again, housekeeping before we completely run out of time. If there's something that you wanted to talk about, but we didn't get a chance to get to in the discussion, please go ahead and throw it into next week's meeting agenda on the list here. You'll see it's under like next in the doc. Go ahead and throw some ideas down. It makes our job a lot easier for facilitation, of course. And of course, it'll lead into discussion in the Slack channel. But in general, next meeting is September 24th, same time. It'll be on the LFX platform, I promise, since the other meeting is already available, but appreciate everybody's time. Get in there, get in the Slack channel, help your developers, all the good stuff. Appreciate everybody coming. And welcome to all the new folks.
Yeah. See you.
See you.
All right, have a good week, y'all. All right, bye.
You too.